And I'd like to welcome you all to our Thursday 1:30 p.m. session, where we'll be taking a journey on the world of fruits and vegetables, okay? I'm going to read our disclaimer before we get started. The WildTech DC Senior iPad program, its owners and presenters offer technical assistance, virtual health, well-being information designed for educational purposes only. You should not rely on the information in the apps or topics made by WildTech, including but not limited to mobile device applications and any social media pages maintained by WildTech, its owners or presenters, as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or legal advice. Thank you so much for letting me read the disclaimer. If you cannot see me, hear me, or see the screen, please let me know in the chat. Would really appreciate that. Let's make sure to keep our TVs and cell phones silenced to give ourselves and others the most immersive experience. And make sure to take notes and or screenshots so that way you can review the information later on if you would like, okay? To keep our meetings organized and avoid speaking over each other as we always do, I just ask that you use the raise hand feature. So either during and or at the end of the session, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions, share comments, reactions, anything like using this feature. So if I could get everyone in Zoom to please raise their hands, you can do so by hitting more at the top right, and then you can tap on raise hand. If your toolbar is at the bottom, you can tap on reactions and then tap on raise hand. So, and if you're here, if you're ready to learn about fruits and veggies today, if you're having a great Thursday, if you enjoyed our sessions this week so far, if you're excited to learn something new and to, share some information if you like, any comments, any suggestions, every time one of you all shares, it really does help out others, myself, yourself as well. So I'd love to hear from as many voices today as we can, okay? So thank you. You reached about 9-10 hands. Your efforts are not unnoticed. Thank you so much. And you all can hit lower at the bottom once you're called on. Don't forget to hit lower. And after we address your question, comment, don't forget to lower your hand, of course, again, and mute yourself. So that way everyone is able to hear and understand, okay? So love it, appreciate that, you all. And if you want to communicate non-verbally, the chat is a great way to share a greeting, ask a question, send the photos, send your congrats, encouragement, any comments or questions, or anything you'd like to share, really, you can utilize the chat. And we're all able to take a look at the chat throughout these sessions. So if you would like to access the chat, and I want everyone to share a message, again, whether that be a hi, a hello, how are you doing? Happy Thursday, hope you're having a great day. Anything you like, you can hit more at the top right. Again, if your toolbar is at the top, you can hit chat and access the meeting chat window. If your toolbar is at the bottom, you can tap on chat simply and the meeting chat window will appear. So again, I want everyone in Zoom to please share a message in the chat. It can be something as simple as a hi or a hello, but you can add emojis, make it as creative as you'd like. So I'm gonna write hello. And today, funnily enough, is For Prunes Day. So there isn't a prune emoji, like if I type that in, no, but if I type in fruit, it's the general idea of things, right? But here are some fruits, and I can go for some vegetables. So there you go. Some veggies, so fruits and veggies for us today, because that's what we're going to be talking about, learning about today in honor of Eat Better, Eat Together month. I really appreciate, again, you all coming on. So if you could share, again, your hellos, your good afternoons, anything you'd like to share, anything in the chat. You can even send a photo by hitting the plus sign next to tap here to chat. I can hit photo and add any photo from my Photos app. So someone had shared this on Tuesday, I think, so I'm going to share it again with you all. So this beautiful picture of fruits and veggies. So you can share one or more photos if you'd like in the Zoom chat. So I can hold the image and hit save image if I want to save it. So that's how you can save the image to your Photos app if you would like. But you can also hold any message and hit reply. So you can reply to that message. So this lovely one with all the, I see watermelons, some avocado, some green pepper. Love it. So let me add some of my own right here. There you go. So I just replied to that message. And then you can hold anyone's message and send a reaction by hitting one of the emojis here at the bottom. Or I can hit these three dots and choose any of Apple's emojis to share as a reaction, okay? So for this one, let me search for any emoji. Again, let me choose this one, just because, and you see underneath whoever's message you put a reaction under, you'll see the reaction, and it has a little one next to it as well. So yeah, happy Thursday. Hope you're having a great day. Have a nice weekend. Have a blessed day. Hello. Love it. Have a wonderful fall day. Love it. And thank you all so much again for participating in the chat. In the chat as well, if you would like to share maybe what you may want to learn about today, your favorite fruits or veggies, and or any comments for any of the videos or things that we go over today, please utilize the chat. So that way we all can, get our thoughts in the chat if you'd like to share them, and I can shout them out throughout the session. So again, I hope you utilize the chat throughout any time you utilize Zoom, okay? So for our agenda today, we're going to be covering what are fruits and vegetables. We're going to be learning about some geography and fun facts of these fruits and veggies. We'll be covering some seasonal produce recipes. So we have a breakfast, lunch, and dinner recipe that we're going to take a look at and talk about. And then we'll have our overview and discussion. So I have some questions for you all that you may want to think about and address, of course, during that time. I think it really helps us learn and deconstruct what we just went over, the material and everything. So again, I would love to hear from as many of you as we can, especially for that overview and discussion. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go into our session for today. So going back to basics, again, there are 5 major food groups, and we're going to be talking about fruits and veggies today. So I'll actually covering the part of the tables concerning what we're talking about today, and also an app that you can utilize to learn more about these different food groups. So we have fruits, that's what we're going to talk about first, and there are subgroups to fruits. So there's either whole fruit or fruit juice. And you see there's a little asterisk next to each of those. And if I look on the table, I can see it says while the fruit groups and dairy group do not technically have subgroups, the 2015-2020 dietary guidelines for Americans recommend that Americans consume more whole fruits than fruit juice and more milk and yogurt than cheese. Whole fruit includes fresh, canned, frozen, dried, cut up, or pureed fruit. Okay, who knew, right? So of course, some sample foods for some fruits. Apples, bananas, oranges, peaches, pears, grapes, watermelon, etc. I love strawberry, mango. Grapefruit is pretty good. Raisins, definitely. Those are some great examples of some fruits that you can eat, right? So I'm gonna actually cover an app that you can utilize. It helps you set food goals and other things. So if you want to download an app, we're gonna access the App Store on our device. And for some of our seasoned seniors, you may already be familiar with this app, but I'm gonna go into the search bar here in the App Store, hit it once again, the search button, and I'm gonna type in the name of the app. So this app is actually called Start Simple with MyPlate, but you can just type in MyPlate and you'll see the result come up. But yep, Start Simple with MyPlate. That is the name of the app. And it appears right here at the top right-hand side. Start Simple with MyPlate. It's from the USDA Food and Nutrition Service. That is where I got the table from that we just looked at. And I recommend you get the app and download it so you can set goals for yourself and earn badges in the app, follow your progress, complete goals, view tips, join challenges. So I highly recommend you get and download this app. I'm actually gonna copy the link and paste it for you all here in the Zoom chat. So that way you all can download and utilize this very useful app. Again, once I tap on the link in the chat, it takes me straight to the app where then you can get and download the app. So when I open it, I'm gonna hold my iPad vertically for this particular app. I see here it says goals, progress, badges, challenges, and MyPlate 101. When you first get the app, they'll ask you some questions, have a questionnaire for you, and you'll eventually get to this page. But I'm gonna hit MyPlate 101. And look at that, I can see My play is a reminder, find your healthy eating style and build it throughout your lifetime. Everything you eat and drink matters. The right mix can help you be healthier now and in the future. So I can select what food group I want to learn more about. So here's fruits. So the key message is focusing on whole fruits, okay? How much, it just depends on different factors. But you can see here, let's see, men 31 to 59, 2 to 2.5 cups, 60 plus 2 cups. Woman 31 to 59, 1.5 to 2, 60 plus 1.5 to 2. Again, interesting to see these recommendations and what counts as a cup of fruit. So an apple is like a small or a half of a large apple. Banana is a large banana. Blueberries, pretty self-explanatory, a cup of them, but you notice when it's dried, you need less. So that's just an interesting thing to look at. Dates, figs, grapes, 22 seedless grapes counts as a cup of fruits. How interesting, right? 3 guavas, 2 to 3 kiwi fruits. The list goes on and on. And they tell you some health benefits. Eating foods such as fruits that are lower in calories instead of some other high calorie food. Yeah, eating a diet rich in vegetables and fruits may reduce risk for heart disease, including heart attack, stroke, may protect against certain type of cancers, and helps increase the intake of fiber and potassium, which are important nutrients that many Americans do not get enough in their diet. So those are the benefits of consuming different fruits and what fruits you can take advantage of. So I hope you all enjoyed that app and that explanation. So next up are some videos all about fruit, the differences between fruits and veggies, and a geography video as well. So I hope you all look forward to learning more about different fruits. First up, all about fruit.
Fruit, fruit, glorious fruit. From cherries to blueberries, pineapples and kiwis, I love eating all kinds of fruit. Have you ever wondered why plants produce fruit? When a plant grows flowers, some of them go on to become fruits. The fruit helps to protect the plant seeds. Some fruits, like an avocado, have one big seed inside. Other fruits, like pomegranates, have lots of little seeds inside. Strawberries have their seeds on the outside of the fruit. Can you see them? Animals often eat fruits. This can help to move the seeds to new places. In its new place, a seed can grow into a new plant. A quick joke before I go. Why did the banana go to the doctors? It wasn't peeling well. See you next time!
Yeah, so a general video on all about fruits. I hope you all enjoyed. Our next video and topic and fact is between fruits and veggies. What's the difference between them? And essentially, in the video, we'll talk about it more. In biology, a fruit comes from the seed-bearing structure of a flowering plant. And the vegetable is any other edible plant part. So again, some fruits are apples, tomatoes, melons, and oranges. And some vegetables include carrots, lettuce, broccoli, and onion. So seed-bearing structure of a flowering plant. And I hope the video, again, talks more about the differences between fruits and vegetables.
Drinking warm water before bed balances blood sugar.
Hey there viewers, and welcome back to another Bestie video. Fruits and vegetables make for a well-balanced, wholesome diet. But do you know the difference between the two? Many of us don't really think about it, but vegetables and fruits are very different. From their taste and texture to their structure and nutritional value. The distinction between them is based not only on scientific or botanical classification, but also from a culinary standpoint. You may have heard about tomato being a fruit, but is that all? What qualifies as a fruit or a vegetable? Which fruit gets mistaken for vegetables? What's their nutritional comparison? In today's video, we'll be clearing this up and talking about the differences between fruits and vegetables. Scientific definition of fruit. Let's start off by talking about the exact definition of a fruit. Scientifically speaking, a fruit is the ripened ovary of any seed plant. It's the edible part of the plant that's developed from the new flower, and often is the sweet and fleshy part that surrounds the seeds. There can be fruit whose seeds are on the skin or the exterior part, like in the case of berries. Or they can be one large seed or several small seeds. Eventually, the main purpose of the fruit is to spread its seeds or attract creatures to help disperse them. In short, a fruit is a fully developed edible ovary of a flowering plant. Scientific definition of vegetables. Unlike fruits, vegetables are the edible part of the plant. They fall under the category of herbaceous plants and are only cultivated for their edible parts. For example, the leaf of spinach or the root of beet, and so on. You'll be surprised to know that there are numerous fruits that we eat daily that are masquerading as vegetables, tomato being one of the most obvious ones. Since vegetables are defined as the edible part of a plant, technically speaking, even a fruit is a vegetable. How do you include fruits and vegetables in your diet? Tell us in the comments below. Classification of fruits and vegetables. We tend to classify fruits and vegetables from a culinary point of view through taste. Fruits are sweet or sour, whereas vegetables are mild and savory. Fruits are typically used for dessert or as garnish, while veggies are either the core or main dish or a side dish option. Although edible plants are used in a specific manner in the kitchen, the biological makeup of the two classifies them differently. They're also classified depending on the part of the plants they come from. While the fruit develops from the plant, other parts of the same plant are classified as vegetables. Fruits have seeds in them, while veggies include the stem, leaves, and roots. Nutritional comparison of fruits and vegetables. When it comes to nutritional value, both fruits and vegetables are extremely important in the everyday diet. This is no surprise. Adults should eat at least 2 cups of fruit and a maximum of 3 cups of vegetables every day. In terms of nutrition, both are packed with essential vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and plant compounds. They're also naturally low in calories, sodium, and fat, making them an ideal choice for literally everyone. Given the sweet taste of fruit, it's understandable that they're high in sugar and calories when compared to vegetables. For example, 1 cup of diced apples contains over 60 calories and around 15 grams of sugar, while the same amount of broccoli has less than half the calories and just a mere 2 grams of sugar. When it comes to fiber, fruit has more than vegetables. The water content is highly variable in both categories. Leafy greens contain over 90% water, and fruit contains about 60 to 80%. So the next time you're looking for a healthy meal or ways to shed those extra pounds, go for a wholesome meal that has a combination of fruits and vegetables rather than a quick sub. Similarities between fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are almost always paired together, which has led us to believe that they're the same food. Here are the similarities between them. Starting with characteristics. Both of them are whole foods that grow from the ground and usually contain seeds. They need sunlight, water, and the right soil to grow before being eaten by either humans, animals, or insects. Speaking about preparation, fruits and vegetables are cooked in a similar manner. Unlike meats, they can be eaten raw. One of the most popular ways of eating both is by blending them into a smoothie. In the current modern age of cooking, just like vegetables, fruit can also be grilled, poached, or baked. Before we move forward, are you spoiled for choice at the grocery store? Here are 8 vegetables that you should be eating and 8 you shouldn't. Now back to learning about the differences between fruits and vegetables. Health benefits of fruits and vegetables. This one is a no-brainer. Fruits and vegetables are good for your health, but you're still curious about their health benefits. Here's why you should amp up the amount in your daily diet. Number 1, keeps heart healthy. Have you ever wondered if you're eating the right amount of fruits and veggies in a day? Enough to keep your heart healthy? You may want to bump it up from 5 to 10 servings a day if possible. This will definitely lower the risk of developing heart conditions by over 30%. Fruits like apples, oranges, pears, and vegetables like broccoli, leafy greens, cauliflower, along with an assortment of colored veggies are great for your heart health. Fiber is the most important compound found in them and lowers cholesterol and high blood pressure. This enables proper functioning of the heart blood vessels. Number 2, weight management. Even a highly motivated person may feel like giving up at times on their weight loss journey. While managing weight may seem like a very stressful job, it definitely isn't. The key is to eat anything you like, just cut down the calories. Swap regular meals of comfort foods or high sugar and carbs for healthy portions of low-calorie and no-fat fruits and vegetables. This will help in reducing the overall caloric content of your body. They're also packed with fiber that leaves you feeling full for longer. This also means saying goodbye to unhealthy snacking. Number 3. Lowers the risk of developing cancer. Plant-based foods are rich in phytochemicals, antioxidants, and nutrients that help in protecting the body against cancer cells and boost the immune system. While eating fruits regularly lowers the risk of developing stomach and lung cancer, eating vegetables like carrots, squash, and other carotenoid-containing veggies also reduce the risk of mouth, pharynx, and larynx cancer. The chances of developing esophageal cancer is lowered since these fruits and vegetables are non-starchy. Adding more portions of fruits and vegetables is not a difficult thing to do, and it's a great way to stay in shape. Number 4. Helps in lowering blood sugar. Managing blood sugar is all about striking a balance between eating the right foods and getting ample exercise. It's very important to regulate it and stay away from the risk of developing diabetes. Although fruits are sweet and do contain sugar, they're loaded with naturally produced sugar known as fructose. These do not harm blood sugar levels in any way. Fiber plays a major role in controlling these random blood sugar spikes, which are mainly found in the skin of fruits and vegetables. Anytime you're feeling hungry, remember to choose a whole fruit or maybe a vegetable salad. Number 5. Maintains digestive health. We've already established the fact that fruits and vegetables are loaded with tons of nutrients, minerals, and vitamins. This also includes folate, vitamin C, antioxidants, and of course the superstar, dietary fiber. All of these are key players in keeping your gut healthy and digestion well regulated. If you've been suffering from constipation, then it may be an indication that you need to amp up the amounts of fruits and vegetables you have. Another bit of great news is that they even lower the risk of bowel cancer. Fruits that are often mistaken as vegetables. All of us have a pretty good concept of which foods are vegetables and which ones are fruits. However, there are several plants that are technically fruits but are often put into the category of vegetables due to their taste and texture. One of the most controversial examples is a tomato. Technically a fruit, they are normally classified as a vegetable due to their flavor profile. Some other commonly mistaken fruits for vegetables include cucumber, avocado, eggplant, pepper, pea pods, and pumpkin. The bottom line is that both fruits and vegetables, no matter how different, are great for maintaining overall health. Eating the right amount of these assorted and colored fruits and vegetables also lowers your chances of developing chronic diseases or age-related issues. Including fruits and veggies in your diet will be one decision you don't regret. If you're looking for a healthier lifestyle, then include these nutrient-dense foods in your diet. Also, check out these fruits that help in the case of berries.
Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video on talking about the differences between fruits and veggies and both of their benefits in your diet. If you enjoyed that video, if you have learned something new so far in our session today, please raise your hand in Zoom. We'd love to see your reactions to this video. Again, if you learned something new so far in our session today, if you enjoyed these videos and information so far, please raise your hand. Okay, love it, love it, love it. I see we have 6, 7 hands. I appreciate that. And we have one final video, the geography of fruits. So where do some of our fruits come from? Hope you enjoy and learn something new.
Fruits are pretty great. For early humans, they served as delicious, calorie-rich foods that could be easily collected and eaten without any preparation. It's even been suggested that the ability to distinguish between red and green was evolutionarily selected for so that we could find fruits and tell if they were ripe or not. Of course, today, finding any fruit you want is as easy as going to the grocery store and finding the right aisle. Many of us might not even realize the fruits we eat might not come from the same country we live in or even the same continent. In fact, many of our favorite fruits originated in entirely different landscapes and climates and today are grown thousands of miles away from our grocery stores. So let's take a look at the geography of our fruits. Starting us off, we have apples, which hail from the Central Asia region, around where the 3 countries of China, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan meet. Its wild ancestor, Malus sieversii, is still found throughout this region, and China remains the #1 world producer, accounting for 48% of the global apple production. The earliest records of apricots reach back to ancient Armenia. Its scientific name is literally Prunus armeniaca. Whether it originated here is disputed, with some suggesting India and China, but its theoretical range includes all of these places, and today Uzbekistan is the top producer. Avocados, sometimes called alligator pears, originated in south-central Mexico, specifically in Tehuacan Valley. Evidence shows locals have been eating the ancestors of avocados for up to 10,000 years, and to this day, Mexico remains the #1 producer in the world. Bananas and plantains, which are technically berries, got their beginnings in Indo-Malaya. The earliest record of their domestication likely comes from New Guinea from up to 10,000 years ago as well. Despite this, India holds the title as a top producer, with China close behind. The genus blueberries belong to, Vaccinium, occur all around the North Pole, but the ones we eat today come from North America, mostly the north and eastern parts of the United States and south-central Canada. So it's no surprise that the United States leads global blueberry production, with Canada coming in second. Okay, so cantaloupes are named after the town Cantalupo di Sabina in Italy, where cantaloupes definitely did not originate from, but cantaloupe literally translates to howling wolf, and I just think that's cool. As for where they came from, no one really seems to know. Some say Persia, some say Afghanistan, and others say Armenia. Roughly this area is agreed upon though, but today it's China that produces 51% of all cantaloupes. Cherries, on the other hand, are native to Italy, and all of Central Europe for that matter. Funnily enough, the name cherry comes from outside of Europe, from the Norman charis, from the Latin cherusum, and from the ancient Greek region Kerasus, located in Turkey, where cherries were first imported into Europe from, and where they still do, as Turkey remains the #1 producer of sweet cherries in the world. Clementines are a fairly new fruit, which arose as a hybrid between a mandarin orange and a sweet orange in the late 1800s. This spontaneous cross was actually observed by humans, as it literally happened in the garden of an orphanage in the city of Meserdin, Algeria. The orphanage was headed by a Frenchman named Marie-Clément Rodier, which is where the name clementine comes from. China, again, is the leading world producer today. Coconuts occur throughout tropical coastal regions. Since they float in water, they're easily and quickly dispersed across the oceans. Their huge range means they were actually domesticated on 2 entirely separate occasions, once in the Indian Ocean in Sri Lanka and the Maldives, and once in the Pacific in the Philippines and Indonesia. Today, Indonesia is still the greatest producer. The first people to harvest cranberries were Native Americans. Tribes like the Narragansett would use them both as food and dyes in the New England region, and recipes for cranberry sauce were seen in Pilgrim cookbooks as early as 1663. So it's no surprise that the US remains the top producer. Dates are some of the oldest cultivated fruits in the world, first found in the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia and Egypt, thought to have originated in Iraq around 50 million years ago, while the earliest evidence of cultivation comes from an archaeological site in Pakistan from around 7000 BCE. Today, Egypt is the world's biggest producer. The fig has much the same range as the date palm, but is even older, with evidence of its cultivation and consumption reaching back 11,000 years, predating wheat and rye. The findings in the ancient village of Gilgal in the Jordan Valley place the domestication of figs around 9400 BCE, suggesting figs may have been the very first example of humans practicing agriculture 1,000 years before the next crops were cultivated. Their biggest producer today, Turkey, isn't too far away either. Grapefruits, which are gross and don't taste anything like grapes, actually came from another cross between 2 citrus fruits, this time the Jamaican sweet orange and the Indonesian pomelo. The cross occurred on the island of Barbados in the Caribbean and were originally called shaddocks. Despite its origin on the tropical island, however, today, once again, China is the #1 producer, accounting for 48% of all production. Geez, China, relax. Grapes, on the other hand, do taste good and come from the Middle East, where human agriculture first got started. The growing of grapes also led to the domestication of yeast, which very quickly led to the discovery and subsequent abuse of alcohol. It's actually unclear what came first, the domestication of grapes or the craft of winemaking, but both occurred around 10,000 years ago in Georgia and Armenia. I'm sure you can guess the overall leader in grape production, but in terms of grapes used especially for wine, Spain leads the world. Guavas are a lesser known fruit, but they're pretty amazing, so I decided to include them. They originally come from southern Mexico and the rest of Central America. Papayas have about the same exact range as well, but today, India leads the way in production of both of these fruits. Honeydew is delicious, and anyone who thinks differently can fight me in the comments section. It came from northern Africa, particularly Algeria, but yeah, China is now the top producer. This one might hurt a little, but kiwis are from China, not New Zealand, specifically from around the Yangtze River Valley. They weren't cultivated much in China, however, and it was only in the 20th century that kiwis were brought to New Zealand and eventually became a commercial crop there. Then, these were exported to the US and UK, and that's why they're associated with New Zealand now. Since then, however, who else but China came in and now contributes 55% of the worldwide production, followed by Italy and then New Zealand. The kumquat, if you don't know, looks like an orange but is about the size of an olive. Like so many other fruits, they come from the Southeast Asian region. Lemons are also thought to have originated here, but more specifically in the state of Assam in eastern India, and these are actually also a hybrid between two older fruits, the bitter orange and the citron, both of which originated around this area as well. And to this day, India leads the world in production. Limes, well, are mostly the same, but actually no one can really agree on what a lime is. There are several different things people call limes, which are all different combinations of citron, mandarin oranges, and pomelo, all of which come from Southeast Asia. And so does the mango for that matter. Olives got their start, of course, in Italy, but quickly spread throughout the Mediterranean region. As early as 5,000 years ago, olives were being grown commercially on the Greek island of Crete, but today Spain is the biggest commercial supplier. Passion fruit is a weird name, but they're the first fruit I've mentioned exclusively from South America, originating from southern Brazil through Paraguay into northern Argentina. Peaches again come from northwest China, between the Tarim Basin and the Kunlun Mountains. And wow, no way, China also produces 58% of the world's peaches. The pear originated nearby in western China, in the foothills of the Tian Shan Mountains, pretty close to where apples formed, if you remember. And yeah, China produces the most of these too. Pineapples are thought to have started in southern Brazil and Paraguay, just like the passion fruit, except way better. Costa Rica actually leads the world in pineapple production, so good for them, honestly. Plums were also one of the earliest domesticated fruits, originating in Eastern Europe and the Caucasus Mountains. But today, China wins again with 55% of the world plum production. Pomegranates originally came from Iran, and they're the only fruit I found with an entire symbolism section on its Wikipedia page, so it's safe to say it was pretty important to many early civilizations. And today, Iran remains the #1 producer of pomegranates. Raspberries are hard to pin down. They propagated throughout Europe very quickly, but it's thought they originated somewhere in Turkey. Despite this, today, Russia is the biggest producer. The modern strawberry is another example of a recent hybrid crossing between the North American Fragaria virginiana and the Chilean Fragaria chiloensis. The two species were first crossed in Brittany, France in the 1750s, although today the US is the greatest producer of them. Tomatoes are definitely fruits, and despite being closely associated with Italian foods like pasta or pizza, they came from thousands of miles away in the Andes Mountains. There are many myths about how the tomato got to Europe. Some suggest it was Columbus who first took them back across the Atlantic. Others say it was Hernan Cortez. And then there's another story about 2 Spanish Jesuits in Mexico, but basically there's no consensus. China wins again in terms of production, however, with 31% of the world production. Lastly, we have watermelon, which started off looking like this in East Africa, right around Ethiopia. Then, roughly 5,000 years ago, the Egyptians began cultivating the fruit, altering it until we got what we now know as watermelon. But unsurprisingly, China today accounts for 68% of worldwide watermelon production. That's all the fruits I'm going to include. I tried to get the most popular ones, but I definitely left out some of the more regionally important ones. I think the biggest takeaways would be that Southeast Asia and the Middle East in particular are where a lot of our favorite fruits originated, while the greatest producer of fruits today is by far China. Why so many delicious fruits came from these areas is the topic for another video, however, so I hope you enjoyed this. If you did and you'd like
Thank you all again for watching that very, very interesting video on the geography of fruits. If you learned where your favorite fruit came from today, I really enjoy learning about strawberries and how they're kind of like a crossbred fruits, and the other fruits that they came from looked really good. So any thoughts on the videos so far before we move on to vegetables? Any thoughts so far about the videos, maybe one new fact that she learned today so far in regards to fruits, the differences of fruits and veggies, some geography facts, or anything else. Let's see, I'll take 1 or 2 hands. Thank you, Geraldine, and then we'll hear from Gracie.
Yeah. This was all of the videos were interesting, but the last one, the geography of fruits, I was just amazed to learn that China produces so many fruits, and Southeast Asia produces a lot of the fruits. So I was amazed at that, and I just wonder if we get our fruits from China. They said that it's the world's leader in so many of them, but I wonder if we get our fruits from China, if we ship them all the way, or if we just grow some ourselves for our own use. That's what I wondered. But anyway, that's what I learned today.
Thank you so much, Geraldine. And yeah, we'll learn more as we go. So keep on holding on. Gracie, thank you so much. What is one new fact that you've learned so far about fruits?
Basically what Geraldine said. I was shocked to know that China grew that much of our fruits. I really didn't know that. And I'm kind of shocked to find that out. I thought we grew a lot of like watermelons and stuff.
We,
But
we
I'm like,
do,
maybe I'm
but
wrong.
it's globally, so you
Yeah,
gotta just kind of think
yeah.
of that way. But in general, yes, China does produce and has many different fruits
Yeah,
that have come there. So it's just amazing to think about, right?
yeah, yeah. You think they have the best climate, like maybe worldwide, to grow a lot of those things like that?
I'm sure China's a big place, so I'm
Yeah.
sure just like we learned in Madagascar yesterday, there's the cooler parts and the warmer
Hmm.
parts and
Hmm.
the grassy parts, the mountainous, the
Yeah.
all of those. So I don't see why it would not, because China is such a huge place and there's a lot of
Yeah.
different environments.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
thank you
that's
so
all I
much for
wanted to say.
sharing.
I just was shocked. I
I
was
know,
shocked
I
at that one.
know. Thank you so much for sharing, Gracie. You have a
Sure.
good day.
Mhm.
I know I said two, but I do see two hands. So we have, again, just thinking about the time, we still have to talk about vegetables. But any new facts that you learned so far? Mr. Angelo, and then
Hey,
Louise, and then
thank
we'll
you,
move on.
Alec. I just got one quick comment. Uh, the grapefruit is a cross between two different fruit merged together. That
Yeah.
it doesn't taste anything like grapes, and I was really I mean, I like grapefruits, and I
Yeah.
was really surprised. Like everyone else is saying, it comes from China, of all places. But anyway, I think back to the beginning of time. I wasn't there, but according to my account, like the Earth was just one big mass before the states got separated and everything because of flood and whatnot, and it just makes sense that everything was hey, in the Garden of Eden, everything was just there for them to eat, all the fruit, So
I
yeah,
know. Where
that's
where
all I
where
got.
where did the fruit come from? That's a good question, Mr. Angelo. So it's yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that.
No problem.
All right, and then Louise, and a quick fact that you learned today so far.
Yeah, I was surprised that China had like 68% watermelon
Mm-hmm.
and 51% of cantaloupe. I'm like shocked.
Of the world, the
I,
whole
I
world.
mean, that's just stunning. I can't believe it. And even the mango in Italy. How did China get to sneak up on everything like that? I think I think they just want to be the top of everything. Yeah, that's all. I didn't know some of those combination fruits,
Me
you know,
neither.
a mixture of this one and the other give you
Even
something
like
else.
like I said, strawberries. I didn't know that was
Yes,
a
I
crossbred
was
fruit. I was like,
surprised.
what?
I didn't know that.
So
Anyway, that's all I
thank
wanted to say.
you. I really appreciate you all sharing. Thank you so much. All right. So I thank you so much for sharing you all once again. Really appreciate hearing all of your comments about the information, because again, it was quite shocking for myself as well. So thank you all so much. Next up, we're going to talk about vegetables. So back to our table, vegetables can be divided into subgroups like dark green vegetables, red and orange vegetables, beans and peas, and starchy vegetables. And other vegetables as well. So if you see next to beans and peas, there's two asterisks next to that one. So if I go down here, it says beans and peas can be considered part of the vegetables group or protein food groups. They include key nutrients from both food groups, which makes sense, right? Protein wise, right? So a dark green veggies like broccoli, collard greens, spinach, romaine, red and orange veggies like carrots, red peppers, tomatoes, sweet potatoes, kidney beans, black beans, chickpeas, split peas, lentils. Any white potatoes or corn or green peas can be considered starchy. The green peas is kind of interesting to me, right? And then other veggies like mushrooms, squash, iceberg lettuce, avocado. So those are again, some great options for vegetables. If we go back to the My Plate app, So again, I can go, of course, on my iPad and search for the icon in many different ways, but I'm just gonna go into the App Store once again and just open it like that. Again, I can look for the icon here on my screen or do a search, right? My plates. There you go. Either way, you can search up different apps, right? So let's go to My Plate 101 once again in the app, and let me hit vegetables. Look at that, I just earned a badge, even just from reading the different articles, right? So I hit vegetables and it says vary your veggies. So like, I imagine all the different colors in the world, right? Any vegetables is included, 100% vegetable juice, maybe raw, cooked, fresh, frozen, canned, dried, dehydrated, whole, cut up, or mashed. And it just depends, again, on different factors and how much you may need. So women 31 to 59, 2 to 3 cups, 60, same thing. Men 31 to 59, 3 to 4 cups, 60 plus, about 2.5 to 3.5. So that's a slight change there, but as you can see, about the same, a little bit more veggies than fruits. In general, 1 cup of raw cooked veggies, 1 cup of 100% vegetable juice, 2 cups of raw leafy greens, and 1 cup of cooked beans, peas, or lentils are considered as 1 cup from the vegetable group. So again, it gives you different measurements. So broccoli, a cup, chopped or florets, fresh or frozen. Bitter melon leaves, those are cool. Look at that, escarole. I like escarole. I've never heard of poke greens, but I do like turnip greens, lamb's quarters. I think I heard of that, but again, you get to learn something new when you read more, right? Amaranth leaves, never heard of that. I love broccoli raw, and I like chard, like, you know, Swiss chard, dandelion greens. There's the Swiss chard. Interesting, right? Raw leafy greens, I love arugula, endive, mesclun. I haven't heard that in a minute, but as you can see with this table, it gives you how much of what you may need for it to be considered 1 cup of a vegetable. And again, some benefits: may reduce risk for heart disease, may protect against certain type of cancers, and again, increase intake of fiber and potassium. So fruits and veggies are so important in our daily lives so we can stay healthy and get our required vitamins and nutrients, you know? So this video talks about what are vegetables. So I think you all will be pleasantly surprised with the information. Hope you all enjoy.
Welcome to a journey through the fascinating world of vegetables. Vegetables are not just the greens on your plate, they are a diverse and essential part of our diet. What are vegetables? Vegetables are edible parts of plants that we consume as part of our meals. Vegetables come from a wide range of plants, including leafy greens like spinach, underground roots like carrots, and above-ground stems like asparagus. You'll find vegetables in an array of shapes, sizes, and colors. Some are tender and delicate, while others are robust and hardy. Vegetables offer a wide spectrum of flavors. Some are mild and subtle, like zucchini, while others are bold and savory, like bell peppers. The variety of tastes is what makes vegetables so versatile. Vegetables are a powerhouse of nutrition. They are rich in vitamins, minerals, dietary fiber, and antioxidants. Consuming a variety of vegetables can contribute to a healthy and balanced diet. Vegetables are incredibly versatile in the kitchen. You can enjoy them raw in salads, stir-fry them, roast them, or use them as ingredients in a wide range of dishes. They add color, flavor, and nutrition to your meals. Different regions have their own unique and native vegetables. From Japanese eggplants to Italian artichokes, vegetables play a central role in many cuisines and cultures. Like fruits, vegetables also have their seasons. Some are best in the summer, while others thrive in the cooler months. Eating seasonal vegetables can ensure they are at their freshest. Vegetables often hold cultural significance. They are used in celebrations, rituals, and traditions, symbolizing prosperity, health, and even spiritual connections. If you found this exploration of vegetables enlightening, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe.
Once again, I hope you all enjoyed the video and just maybe got some ideas for cooking different vegetables. Again, you can have them raw or stir fried or baked into something. It's really up to you on how you like to enjoy your food. So again, that video was just what are vegetables. And again, I hope we gave you some ideas on how to maybe cook some vegetables in a different way. And just like before, we're gonna watch some, not all of this video, but some in regards to the geography of different vegetables. So let's see if it plays out maybe differently than the fruits. I hope you all enjoy and get to check out these videos, which can be all found on YouTube if you want to learn more. So there's actually a part 2 of the fruits video that we had just watched, and I hope you again get to check that out on your YouTube app. But we're gonna watch some of this geography of vegetables video.
Tomatoes are vegetables. Now, I know what I just said might be controversial, but hear me out. Unlike fruits, which have a very clear botanical definition, being the seed-bearing structures of any flowering plants, the definition of vegetables is much more general and includes any part of a plant that humans eat. Not only does this mean that fruits are technically included under the term vegetable, but this also includes edible seeds, flowers, leaves, stems, and roots. However, from a culinary perspective, these definitions aren't very useful. On the one hand, plants typically produce fruits so that animals carry them away and eat them, in the process spreading their seeds far and wide. To accomplish this, fruits are typically made soft, sweet, and edible in their raw form. On the other hand, the rest of the plant is not supposed to be eaten, as this actively decreases its chances of reproduction. And therefore, the seeds, flowers, leaves, stems, and roots all come with some form of defense against being eaten, like tough skins, bitter tastes, hard shells, and so on. The only way to make these parts edible is through some form of preparation, be it cooking, baking, boiling, blanching, or whatever. This has led to fruits and all other vegetables having 2 very different functions in our foods, bringing us back to the tomato. While yes, technically the tomato is the seed-bearing structure of a flowering plant, making it in actuality a fruit, it's pretty rare for people to actually eat them like a fruit. I mean, don't get me wrong, you totally can eat a raw tomato if you want to, nothing bad will happen, except it might taste pretty gross, which is why most people prefer to cook tomatoes as if it were a vegetable, because, well, technically it is. What I'm trying to show you by explaining all of this is that while coming up with a list of fruits to do a geography of video is rather straightforward, doing the same for vegetables isn't as easy, as the term just includes too much. Since I can't go through everything some people either may or may not consider to be vegetables, the only option left for me is to pick and choose only the things I consider to be vegetables, and just suffer the endless comments I'm sure to get telling me everything I missed. So, knowing that, let's get started. Being from the United States, my knowledge of vegetables is largely going to reflect foods of European tradition. As such, it only makes sense to start by looking at Europe. If you watched my Geography of Spices video, you'd know that most foods from Europe had their origin in the highly diverse Mediterranean region, and vegetables are no different. It was here that the wild cardoon first arose with its impressive but spiky flower. What's even crazier is that at some point someone looked at that and said to themselves, I bet I could eat it, and eventually managed to breed it into a more fleshy, less spiky form, giving birth to the modern artichoke. Also belonging to this broadly Mediterranean category is arugula. While today it's mainly the leaves of the plant that we eat, you can also make use of its flowers as well as both its young and fully mature seeds. But be careful, ever since ancient Roman times, arugula was thought to be a strong aphrodisiac, capable of reviving drowsy Venus, whatever that means. It's thought that this is why it started to be mixed with lettuce, as it was thought to have the opposite effect. Ironically, lettuce, which had a huge native range spanning from Europe to Siberia, was first domesticated in ancient Egypt, where it was most closely associated with Min, the god of reproduction, as it was believed to, well, also help with reviving that drowsy Venus. This actually appears to be a trend, with another supposed aphrodisiac from the Mediterranean being asparagus. Though no one really knows why it was so common to associate vegetables with one's ability to canoodle, if I had to hazard a guess, people who ate their vegetables were simply healthier than those who didn't, which makes all sorts of things easier. Aside from making your urine smell worse than it already did, asparagus is also notable for being one of only a few common vegetables where it is the stem of the plant that we mainly eat, with the only other one from the Mediterranean being celery. Though this only partially counts, not only because the leaves and seeds of celery are also used to make spices, but it was also only around the 1950s that we finally figured out a way to get people to eat celery by making it into ants on a log. It was also in this region that peas first emerged, though these come in two main varieties, classic green peas as well as yellow peas. And if you've ever taken a biology class, you'll probably know that it was by breeding yellow and green peas together that Gregor Mendel first came to understand patterns of inheritance, observing the yellow trait to be dominant and the green trait to be recessive. What this means is that green peas have actually been purposefully bred this way, I guess revealing our preference for green above yellow. While technically a whole pea pod qualifies as a fruit, individual peas are seeds, meaning we've covered all the major vegetable groups except for roots. These are tricky because a lot of the time people don't start by eating a plant's roots, the only part that comes buried in the ground and covered in dirt. Instead, root vegetables tend to be first grown for some other edible aspect of the plant, and only after some time do farmers realize that the root is edible as well. This is exactly what happened with beets, which were initially grown throughout the Mediterranean for their leaves, which today we'd call chard. It was only after this that the plant's roots were noticed for their size and their ability to be eaten. The story is the same for turnips, where it was in Northern Europe that they were again first harvested for their leaves, before people realized that their large taproot was edible as well. But okay, it's at this point that I need to bring up the true MVP of European vegetables, Brassica oleracea, otherwise known as wild cabbage. In its wild form, the plant makes use of its high salt tolerance to grow along the coastlines of South and Western Europe, where few other plants can inhabit. Given its wide natural distribution, a number of different people groups would come to encounter and cultivate their own forms of brassica. The most obvious is of course cabbage, which was selectively bred for its large edible leaves and the dense head that it forms in the first year of being planted. Eventually, however, the people living in southern Italy and Sicily began to prefer the edible flowers that brassica grew, and over time developed their own cultivar we now know as broccoli. A very similar thing happened on the island of Cyprus, where it was again the flowering head of the plant that was selectively bred, resulting in broccoli's better-tasting pale twin, cauliflower. From here, cauliflower went on its very own journey, first being bred back into a green variant known as broccoflower. By the 16th century, this green variant made it back to Italy, where further breeding led its flower to develop into a fractal pattern, resulting in what we'd call Romanesco cauliflower, which might win the prize for the craziest looking vegetable in existence. 300 years after that, in 1970, a new mutation in cauliflower was first noticed in Ontario, Canada, which led to the plant developing a yellowish color. Seeds of this initial mutant were sent to Geneva, New York, where the New York State Agricultural Experimentation Station is located. And after a few years of crossing and recrossing this variant with regular cauliflower, a new cultivar containing 25% more beta-carotene was produced, turning the vegetable orange in the process. This only opened the door for even more experimentation, and not long afterward the purple cauliflower was produced, altogether making the cauliflower family surprisingly colorful. But okay, back to brassica.
I wish we could watch the whole video today, but wasn't that so interesting learning about some of those root vegetables and where some of them come from and how they came to be at all. So if you would like to share any thoughts on vegetables, anything that you learned from both of these videos, please raise your hand in Zoom. Again, anything you would like to share or comment on about vegetables. Hey, Louise, once again, thanks so much. What would you like to share?
About the cauliflower, I did not know that you could have purple.
I know.
Orange and yellow.
It looks so good though, right?
Yeah, it looks so good if you put it, it's like a basket of flowers.
I know. Let me,
And I
if I,
didn't realize that the Swiss chard, they call it chard, is the beet leaf.
basically, right? You
And
know,
I love Swiss chard, but I didn't know it was the leaves. My
well,
God. And the turnip too,
mm-hmm.
because I love the turnip. I use it
Hey,
all the
back
time in soups and so forth. But I didn't know the leaves were the same turnip greens that they put out. That's amazing. This is something new. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate that, Louise. Thank you. And then Mr. Angelo, before we move on to our next section,
Yeah,
what did you
I
learn
just,
about vegetables?
oh man, the cauliflower again. Because uh, where did they say it originated?
If I go back to the video, it really has quite a interesting history where it came from. You know, the Mediterranean
The
area, but it,
origination, yeah.
yeah, but it started like this the regular pattern that we see, but then this kind of this beautiful Romanesco cauliflower right here, and then
Right.
they did the breeding and the
Yeah.
made it orange, has more beta carotene, and then they made it purple
I eat a
after
lot of
that.
cauliflower now. They said it's good for your health, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Anything good for my health, I want to be around, so I try to
Mm-hmm.
ingest it. But yeah,
Yeah.
cauliflower. Wow. And then they start mixing it up, like you said. So that's great to know. The origination was in the Mediterranean. Okay. Wow.
I
Okay. Thank
really
you, Alex.
appreciate you
Thank you.
sharing that, Mr. Angelo. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, and I do see we have a hand. So our very last hand, we do have to move on to our recipes, right? Is from Miss Dina. Thanks so much for sharing. What would,
Well, I also learned about eating the roots. I
mm-hmm.
never thought people ate the roots. They were talking about the beets or other vegetables. They noticed back then how big the roots were.
Mm-hmm.
So they began to eat those also.
Yeah, they were like, "What's this? Can we eat it?" And then they figured it out. But isn't that amazing? Any part of the plant, that's how we stay sustainable and how we keep our environment in mind. Eating every part of the plant that we can, is so important in being sustainable. So I'm glad I made you think of that way.
Right.
Thank you so much, Miss Dina. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So next up,
tomatoes are vegetables.
for our session today, I want to heed your attention to this chart that I found. Did not know that DC has a seasonality chart. What I will say, this chart, it is a little older, so it's I think about 2013. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I thought I saw on the page. But I'm going to share this website, this document link with you all, so you can utilize it year round. Okay. So again, this chart right here shows you your seasonality, what's going on in DC, which fruits and veggies are ripe on farms near Washington, DC. So if you're looking for some produce, going to your local farmer's market or in the DMV area, this is a great guide to look at to see what is fresh and what is ripe on different months. So as you can see, for December, January, February, it says it's too cold in the winter near DC for crops to grow, but these fruits and veggies will stay fresh for months if we store them in a cool, dry place. So things like pears, potatoes, carrots, looks like beets, squash, apples. Those are things that can be stored for the winter months. And if we go, you can see each month, there's so many different ones. The ones in the middle are like their highlights, I guess, it says. That you can see towards the inner circle. But if we go to October, that is what is fresh around here in DC around October. So you can plan for October, you can plan for November, get that Thanksgiving meal, get the freshest produce available for that. And it's the tail end of the season. So definitely grab some of these that you see. But for October, we are going to look at some recipes together using some of these seasonal produce. So just looking at October, I see some favorites, like I love apples and eggplants and broccoli. I see cabbage. I see cauliflower, like we talked about, right? Carrots, radishes. These look like sweet potatoes. I think this is kale that's highlighted. But love all of these different options right here. So again, maybe in the chat, maybe you could share your favorite seasonal produce for October, which again, you can see all the different options, like September for watermelon. I know watermelon is really big in September, so it makes sense that it's highlighted here, right? But as you can see in September, August, July, June, those are the months that have a lot of, produce available, a lot of fresh produce. So definitely to take advantage of that and to keep that in mind, and especially next year coming, get your produce, definitely during those times. But if I go back to our presentation, I hope you like the charts and get to take advantage of it while producing produce, okay? So I have a breakfast, lunch, and dinner for you all. So we're gonna watch each recipe and quickly share our thoughts on the recipe. So this for breakfast. Again, I found some of my favorite chefs and shows that I watch, and wanted to find some recipes that highlight some of these seasonal produce. So first up, we're gonna learn about cinnamon eggy bread with quick stewed apples. And I hope you all enjoy the video.
I've never forgotten, I think I was about 6 years of age when Mum brought this huge tray of eggy bread to the table. And it was like, wow, Mum, we've died and gone to heaven. Start off with a slightly stale bread, 4- or 5-day-old loaf left over. If it's a fresh bread, then it absorbs too much of the egg, so therefore it gets soggy. You never get it fried and crisp. And if you're not going to use it for breadcrumbs, eggy bread is a must. In France, they call it pain perdu, the lost loaf. Now, eggy bread is great on its own, but serving it with stewed apples is delicious. So the secret here, keeping the skins on. There's a lot of flavour in the skin, and also it stops the apple from breaking down too quickly. You get these nice chunks as opposed to a sort of apple puree. Now, get your pan nice and hot and sprinkle a couple of tablespoons of sugar. Take the sugar down to a light caramel. It's quite incredible how cheap it is to make this, and yet it was so filling.
If you haven't got apples, this recipe will work pretty much with any fruit you've got in.
Don't be scared to mix a pear and an apple, a banana and a pineapple. Just stew it. Lightly toss in the caramel, get a little knob of butter. That makes a nice toffee apple flavour. Really simple. Now, you can see what's happening. The apples are caramelising, but they're staying intact because the skin's on the apple. And the caramel's turned into this nice, rich butterscotch sauce. Once you've glazed all the apples, a couple of tablespoons of water in there. Bring that to the boil and let that cook out. Now, the eggs. 3 whole eggs. Whisk up the eggs. Add about 4 tablespoons of milk. You want the egg thick and rich. And then lightly sprinkle in a couple of tablespoons of sugar. That sweetens up the mixture. And when you start frying the bread, it caramelizes it beautifully. A teaspoon of powdered cinnamon. That gives the bread that really nice, spicy deliciousness. Apples are glazing beautifully. And put them on a low heat and get a pan on now for the bread. A teaspoon of oil. That stops the butter from burning. Butter in. So that starts frothing. Get your bread in. You've got to be pretty quick now. Now, you don't leave the bread soaking. Drain. And in the pan.
Once your eggy bread has browned, flip it over.
90 seconds each side. That butter gives that nice golden brown colour of that egg. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's quite remarkable, isn't it? A couple of eggs, splash of milk, leftover apples, and all of a sudden you've got this stunning breakfast. Now, my apples, they've all glazed beautifully. Get a nice spoon of that amazing juice and drizzle that over. Wow. If my mum saw me doing this, she'd kill me. You're getting all posh again. No, no, Mum. I'm using a touch of iced sugar to make it look stunning. And that, for me, takes me back to when I was 6 years of age. And I thought I'd just won the lottery. That is incredible. Eggy bread.
You won't get more breakfast for your buck. My mum's incredibly delicious cinnamon eggy bread with quick stewed apples.
So yeah, I love me some Gordon Ramsay. I love the way he explains everything. There's a purpose of history, some knowledge, especially where things came from, some suggestions. You don't have to just use apples. You can use different combinations of fruits. For me, I like a little bit more of a savory breakfast. So you can definitely substitute some of the sugar and for something else maybe. So I hope this recipe, of course, you can enjoy it. And, brings back similar memories where your recipes from your childhood that you ate, you kind of sometimes are nostalgic for them. So I hope it made you think of different recipes that you may have ate, and get to revitalize them in 2024. Any quick comments for this particular recipe, this video? Any comments before we go on to lunch? But again, if you would like to share anything about this video, about the apples, about anything that was presented, please raise your hand or share in the chat as well. I'm okay with either. Okay, moving on to our next video, we have lunch. So this is a roasted potato leek soup that you can take advantage of. So the potatoes, the leeks, you can add other seasonal vegetables as well. So I hope you all enjoy and learn a new recipe.
I thought I'd get started on lunch. It's going to photograph roasted potato leek soup and garlic bread. And then maybe we'll even eat it for lunch. So one of the things I always love to do, as I say often, is I like to take a classic recipe and update it, make it a little more modern, give it much more flavor. Everybody knows vichyssoise, which is French potato leek soup, but it's not that exciting. So I thought it'd be great if I could roast the potatoes, roast the leeks all together so they're sort of caramelized, and add lots of other ingredients. So I've got 2 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes peeled, and I've got these huge leeks. I need about 4 cups of diced leeks. And the thing with leeks is you always want to make sure there's no sand in them. There's absolutely no point in making soup if it's filled with sand. So what I do is I just slice it right down the middle, and then I'm going to take it over to the sink and run it under the water, both of them. Okay, those aren't so bad. I'm going to give them that big chop and roast them with the potatoes. So I'm going to take off all the green parts. They can be a little tough, and leave the light green and white parts. Okay, now just dice them up. Remember, I'm going to be roasting these, and then I'm going to make soup out of it. So it doesn't matter that they're perfectly diced. It matters that they're delicious. Okay, onto a roasting pan. Potatoes and the leeks. Okay, olive oil. Can't roast without olive oil. Good olive oil. I use California olive oil. Okay, lots of salt and pepper. Make sure it has great flavor. I'm going to roast this at 400 degrees for about 40 to 45 minutes, just until the potatoes are really nice and tender. And then I'm going to add some arugula. After it's roasted for 40 to 45 minutes, I'm going to add about 3 cups of arugula. It's got a really nice peppery flavor. I'm going to put it back in the oven for 5 minutes until the arugula just wilts, and it just adds that extra depth of flavor that I'm looking for. Ooh, that soup's going to be so good with herb garlic bread. I'm making this soup for an article on the Classics Updated, and my friend Miguel is photographing it for me. I'm taking potato leek soup, which is classically vichyssoise, and I'm giving flavor to everything. So what I've done is I've roasted the potatoes and the leeks, bring out the flavor in them, just thrown in some arugula at the last minute, just enough to wilt it. Now what I'm going to do is add a little bit of white wine, about 1/2 cup, to the pan. just to scrape off all those brown bits that give a sauce so much flavor. And I'm going to make sure it gives the soup lots of flavor. And it gets a Georgian potato. It's going to give it lots of great flavor. Okay, that's all done. So I'm just going to take it and put it in the food processor. What I'm looking for is a soup that's smooth but has some texture. So I'm just going to pour that half in. I'll have to do it in 2 batches. These vegetables smell fantastic. So I'm just going to add some chicken stock. I'm going to use about 5 cups total, just enough to blend this. I want it coarse but chunky. Fantastic. Okay, into the pot, then I'm going to finish blending the rest. Okay, so that's the puree. Now I'm going to make it into soup. Just turn it on low heat. I'm going to add a little more chicken stock. It's about 5 cups total, but just enough until it's the right consistency. You want it thick, but not, you don't want it to taste like a vegetable. You want it to taste like soup. So just whisk it in. It's pretty thick. A lot depends on how much starch is in the potatoes. I'm going to add a little cream. And since it's a French soup, I'm going to add a little creme fraiche. So about 3/4 of a cup of cream, just to give it a nice richness. And then 8 ounces of creme fraiche, which gives it a little sour, sort of tart flavor. This is going to be wonderful. Just plain cream, a little creme fraiche, adds a sort of sourness to it, which is great. This is really nice. It's got a nice texture. It's clearly soup. It's not a cream vegetable. A little more salt always brings out the extra flavor. I thought it'd be great to contrast the texture of the creamy soup with something crispy like these crispy shallots. Here's how you do them. Just add 1½ cups of light olive oil to a saucepan with 3 tablespoons of butter. Put it in a thermometer and turn the heat on medium-low. Meantime, slice 6 shallots in thin rings. You want crispy? You've got to have thin rings. When the oil and butter reach 220 degrees, you're all ready. So turn the heat to low and add the shallots. They'll take about 30 to 40 minutes to cook. Keep the temperature below 260 degrees so they don't burn. When they're golden brown, take them out with a slotted spoon and spread them onto paper towels to dry. Once the shallots are fried, just store them at room temperature. These are going to be so delicious, sprinkled over the leek and potato soup. All I have left is the herb garlic bread, and everything's going to be ready for its close-up. Soup's nice and hot. So first I'm going to whisk in 2 tablespoons of white wine, then 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, and I'll leave that to simmer for a minute. Then I'll cut big, thick slices of garlic bread. Then the soup gets ladled into bowls, and the finishing touches, extra Parmesan cheese, and those fabulous crispy shallots. It's so beautiful.
Again, I hope you all enjoyed that recipe, and there are many ways to change it and switch it up just for your taste and for whatever you would like. So you don't even have to make it into a soup. You can make a sauce and just kind of maybe eat the potatoes by itself and the leeks, you know, if you want to go that route. You know, it's really up to you on what you want to add or remove to the recipe. I think it just gives a great base with some great tips and a lot of different cooking items as well. Okay, and before we move on to our discussion and overview, I have one more recipe for you all, and this is from, again, one of my favorite chefs, Sunny. This is a butternut squash chili that you can make and take advantage of. I hope you enjoy and learn something new.
My beefy butternut squash chili. Yes, you can help. So first things first, we've got a butternut squash that's already been...
Oops, sorry about that.
My beefy for me, and it's going to go into the chili later. So, you know, what I did is I started off with some chuck, and I just cut it into chunks. That's why I call it beefy, because it's 2 layers of beef going down here. Right?
Okay.
We're gonna get chunky, and then I'm gonna have some ground beef as well.
double beef.
Double beef, baby.
Ooh.
So what I did was I browned that into the pan. I'm not trying to cook it, just brown it with a little bit of fat. And then in that same Dutch oven, I've got some onion, garlic, red bell pepper going right now. That's what smells so crazy good. And then gonna start with some flavor from tomato paste.
Greatest.
Just a little squeeze. And the key here is it comes out so bright red, but the idea is to cook it down until it's a really deep brown. So in there, I'm gonna put some hot sauce. Your favorite hot sauce, right? Now, I'm gonna add in my seasoning. The same seasoning that I'm gonna add in now is just half of what I already put onto my ground chuck. And that's gonna be some black pepper, oregano, salt, chili powder, pumpkin pie spice.
What?
It's awesome because it's got the cinnamon, the ginger, it's really warm, and some cumin. All right, so right in here, that seasoning blend, the other half of it that didn't go into the ground chuck.
The hot sauce just made it down here.
Yeah.
It's tickling my nose.
Now into the pan right now, I've got the ground chuck. That's just 80%, 20%. You know, if you get the sirloin, it's just not gonna have enough fat to hang out.
Most people would think chili has beans, Sunny. So what's your? Right.
I'm a no bean girl in my chili. I'm a no bean
really.
girl in my chili. But I've been around so many different places: Detroit chili, Texas chili. I mean, I'll just take it how it comes, but I prefer no beans.
Me too. I'm with you.
I think that people put the beans in because they're like, hey, let's put a little bit more texture. We're gonna get that with the butternut squash. So now that I've got the beef mostly brown, I can add back in the chuck that I chucked up before. I love cinnamon and chili, a nice little hint of it, and pumpkin pie spice has it. And right at the end, I'm gonna do a second layer of that chili for you. So just get the beef in there and incorporate it. And the beefy butternut squash. This really happened because I had a butternut squash sitting around. I was gonna make chili, and I was like, why not? It's gonna soak up the flavor. It's bright. It's gonna bring some color to it. And it works out. You can also do this with sweet potatoes. Cornmeal.
Thicken it up.
I love cornmeal and chili. It just kind of thickens it up, makes a little bit of a gravy for you at the end, tightens it for you. So over the top of that, some beef stock.
This is like the perfect Halloween meal.
A little red wine in there. And then just cover it up, cook it down. You know, it takes about 40, 45 minutes or so for everything to get nice and tender. And then you have...
Bubbling cauldron.
A little beefy butternut squash.
Wait, I'm adding a garnish. So here's the idea. You take a tortilla, of course I'm gonna add a tortilla. You can just take a cookie cutter and cut out a shape. And then just like you would fry a tortilla chip with 350-degree oil until it's nice and golden brown, you fry them and you get the shapes like this. See that? Really important though, you have to salt it when they're nice and warm so that the tortilla actually absorbs the salt, otherwise it'll just fall off. So add that nice crunchy, you can do one of each. There you go.
So good.
Once again, I hope you all enjoyed that video and got some tips, especially that cornmeal tip and chili, beans versus no beans type of person. Definitely the spices and just what kind of wakes up and gives you that when you eat certain foods. With the seasoning, right? It's all in the seasoning and the herbs and the spices, you know? So today, overall, we learned about fruits, vegetables, their geography, some fun facts. We also learned that there's a DC seasonality chart where you can look up what's in season for that particular month. And we looked at 3 different recipes using that seasonal produce for October. So I hope you got inspired. You don't have to make the exact same thing that they made, whatever that you like, but this is a great base and some great cooking tips as well from some of the greats. So thank you all so much. If you enjoyed our presentation today, if you learned something new about fruits, veggies, seasonality, recipes, and cooking tips, information, please raise your hand in Zoom. Again, if you enjoyed today's session, if you learned something new, again, about fruits, veggies, recipes, seasonality, anything today, if you enjoyed, please raise your hand in Zoom. Love it. Thank you. We're at 10 hands so far. I really appreciate that. And again, hey, again, there's always more to learn, maybe some about anything, right? It's just sometimes going in one, level deeper into the knowledge, and you really get to see how things come to be, originated from. So I hope you all enjoyed. I have some discussion questions for you all, but if you'd like to share any general thoughts, please keep your hands raised or raise your hand, and or you can answer one or more of these questions before we end for today. Why is it beneficial to eat fruits and veggies that are in season? What are some of your favorite seasonal fruits or veggies, and how do you typically prepare them? What are some strategies that you recommend for preserving seasonal produce to enjoy year-round? And just to think about it, how can learning about other fruits and vegetables, other produce, help us learn about other cultures and cuisines? Again, if you'd like to share your thoughts, any general thoughts on today's session, and or answer one or more of these questions, please raise your hand in Zoom, and we'd love to hear from you. So I see we have about 2 hands up so far. I see your chats. I would search, let's see, eggy bread with apples. I would search this, sorry, bread, I should say bread. I would search that term in YouTube, and that is a YouTube video that you can find, okay? So I hope that that helps out. But again, we have 2 hands so far. If you'd like to answer one or more of these questions or share any of your general thoughts for today, please raise your hand. First up is Miss Dina. Thanks so much for participating today. What would you like to share?
I didn't know my hand was up. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, would you like to share something, Miss Dina?
Well, the chili was fascinating with the different seasonings, because everybody have their own way of cooking of the cultures. And I remember Hamburger Helper years ago had a chili box, you know, and they had cornbread in it.
Yeah.
Where you could make the chili and put the cornbread in it. And it was really good.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you got to see those different seasonings, and hope you get to incorporate some in your cooking. Okay, Miss Dina?
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thanks so much for sharing. I hope you enjoyed today's session.
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
No problem. My pleasure. Next up is Geraldine. Thanks again for participating. What would you like to share today?
Yeah, I'd like to say, well, it's beneficial to eat fruits and vegetables in season because they're fresher. You don't have to import them from someplace else. They're already in your area, and they're fresh and they're cheaper, I think, when you get it in season. And now, and one of my favorite fruits to get in season is cherries. I buy these cherries, and they are only available in about, I think it's August, maybe July and August, and that's it. They have a lot of them. You buy them, and then you go in there one day, and they're all gone. So yes, I buy these cherries. So yeah, and one last thing, the eggy bread for breakfast with the apples in season, because you know now is the season for apples, and you can get a lot of them there on sale. But the eggy bread reminds me of French toast.
Yeah, of course. Same here.
Yeah, and you can just make that and put your apples on top since they're in season now. And that would make a good breakfast. That's what I wanted to say. But I enjoyed all of the information we got today. It was so much. I enjoyed everything. And thank you for this presentation.
I really appreciate that, Geraldine. And yeah, try different fruits for different breakfasts, more fruits and veggies. It's always, you know, just really good for you, and they taste great. And, you know, you're putting good things in your body. So it makes you feel good when you eat them as well. So thank you so much, Geraldine. I appreciate it. Let's see, we have 3 more hands that I see. Love it. Mr. Angelo, once again, thanks so much for coming on. And what are your thoughts for
I'm
today?
glad to be here. Thank you, Alec, for everything. The presentation was fantastic. But I just wanted to say also that watermelon, man, I ate about maybe watermelons, 6 or 7 watermelons between the end of August and through September. And
Yes.
are they still in season or they're out now? Because I
So
can't get a watermelon.
yeah, well, that's why, again, make sure you take advantage of the seasonality chart that was shared in the chat so you can kind of see what's going on. And you're right about that, because look, Mr. Angelo, you see watermelons right here in September. So I
Yeah.
can see here is it's really just that one
Oh,
time. It's really
yeah.
in like the freshest. If you want a watermelon, it's gonna be September. And I was at different places in DC, and whenever I saw like a market or something, there was always an abundance of watermelons with
Right.
September. So that way you can predict again what you may be able to purchase, and that way you can plan what you want to in advance. So,
Right. Also, they
Mhm.
said the watermelons are like 90% water, and it's
Mhm.
very good for your
Very
hypertension,
good.
your blood pressure.
Mhm,
So yeah,
mhm.
like I said, I'm trying to eat healthy, and I want to keep my blood pressure down. I don't want to get upset. So it's very good for all of us, seniors. And Miss Smith, Sister Smith, can you tell me where you be shopping to get all this very good fresh food from? Because it sounds so appetizing.
Oh, well, Ms. Geraldine, please share that in the chat. We really appreciate that. Of course, just
Yeah.
to share where you purchase your items. Of course, I get it from
Yeah.
friends and family. They get it from their
Friends and
places,
family.
but different markets,
Okay.
different, of course, grocery stores, they have different ones as well that you can take advantage of. But
Really?
there are several different farmers markets and different farms available in the DC area. So I would definitely do some research and check some of those out, like Miller
Okay.
Farms, or
Uh-huh.
many different farms come in DC and that are around. So definitely
Right.
do your research and check it out.
Got
Okay.
to. Thanks, Alex.
No
Thank
problem,
you.
Mr. Angelo. You have a
Mhm.
wonderful rest of your day.
Okay.
All right. Again, don't forget to lower our hands and mute ourselves just so we can hear from everyone. Okay. We have Louise next. Thanks so much for participating. What are your thoughts
I
for
was
today?
thinking about the butternut squash. I love to bake those.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember once my sister made the butternut squash with chicken, and then she bake it.
That
And
sounds so good.
good. She put like chicken thighs, boneless.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That's a flavor right there.
I didn't know they could make it in the chili though.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
I usually use the cornmeal for making, we call it porridge.
Yes, because
Yeah.
it thickens up
yeah, like
the
cereal.
meal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And those are good. It kept your bowels moving good and all those things. Those things.
Yes.
So that eggy bread, I know that's French toast. Yeah.
Yes. Just that maybe it seemed like, of course, it didn't have all the bells and whistles that French toast may have. It was just something
Right.
that that he said that his mom made, and we didn't know as kids, like how maybe it was a struggle to put food on the table, so that food maybe they considered to not be less than, but just to get by. It was like the world for us as kids. So it just brings
Put a lot
back
of butter.
I know that video. That's why I'm saying, I would put a little bit less and a little bit less sugar myself, and I would
It's
maybe
too much
make it a little savory. But I really like the apples and just the way that he kind of highlighted them alongside the meal as well. So
Yes.
definitely great inspiration.
And the apples, I usually peel them, but now I know I can just cut them up with the skin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the skin
Usually
it
peel them.
doesn't mush. Yeah, it doesn't mush because the skin kind of
Keep that
protects the
together. Yeah.
fruits, keeps it
Yeah.
together, and that's where most of the nutrients are in most fruits.
Mhm.
Is like the skin, the like the pith area. That part of the fruit
Mhm.
has most of the nutrients. So you're actually doing better just by leaving the skin on.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave the skin next time.
Mhm.
I thought that was all very good.
I really appreciate that, Miss Louise. You have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
All right, we have two more hands that I see. We have Anne next up. Thanks so much for participating. What would you like to share for today?
Well, I love watermelon too. And I had a cookbook, and I looked in the cookbook one day because somebody had gave me about 2 or 3 watermelons, and I had gave them out in the neighborhood. And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do something with the watermelon so I could keep on eating it for a while. And there was a recipe on how to freeze the watermelon. So I cut it
Mm-hmm.
and made like a watermelon ice.
Basically,
Uh, and
I'm with you.
it's good in Coca-Cola, it's good in ginger ale, and it's good in fruit juice.
Or I would just think water too.
Yeah,
You
it
know
is
that?
good. Yeah, but
Remember?
yeah, but it's really good in like you know, and you can use it in a smoothie.
Of course, love it.
So you get to keep it a little bit longer. In fact, I got a couple of bags of watermelon in the freezer.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, you gotta, if you have it, you might as well use it. That's a great way to keep that watermelon going for a
Mm-hmm.
little while longer, because as you can see, it's only in season for a short time. So that's a
Right.
great way to expand its lifetime and for us to use so it doesn't go to waste. So I really love that.
And the cherries too, because
Mm-hmm.
like around Thanksgiving time, I'll be able to make me a nice cherry pie with some fresh cherries that are frozen in the freezer.
Oh my, that sounds delicious. Or you could add it to your cranberry sauce or
That's right.
whatever. You could do that. Or, it's yeah. So especially saving fruit, ones that you especially love, and just being able to know how to save them for later on is a great way to save money and to enjoy what you like in other parts of the year.
That's right. So thank you, Alex.
Thank you so much for
This
sharing,
was
Anne.
very, very interesting.
I really appreciate that. And our last hand for today, thank you, Miss Sylvia. I appreciate your kind words. Is from Miss Carolyn. Once again, thanks so much for joining. Any general thoughts for today's session?
Yes, I love everything except I love the breakfast, the French toast. I used to make that all the time. I really did. There's nothing but French toast. I had never put the apples on top of it.
Yeah, it
And I
makes
love
you feel a
all
little better than eating it, right? It makes you feel a little better.
yes, and I love all the fruits and vegetables. I love my fruits and I love my vegetables. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. I love them too. It's
Yeah.
nature's candy. So especially if you know any, young ones, and well, anyone, we all need more fruits and veggies in our life. They have so many benefits, and definitely need it for our health and for fun as well, because fruits and veggies, there's so much history and of course flavor, and there's a fruit and there's a veggie for everyone that they will enjoy. Well, thank you, Miss Carolyn. I really appreciate you sharing and coming on to our session today.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, I really appreciate, again, you all coming on and exploring this world of fruits and veggies together. Really wanted to showcase, of course, DC as well in some kind of way in regards to seasonality and produce, what we do every day. So I'm glad I was able to find that information, that chart, and provide some recipes and information, maybe on your favorite fruits and vegetables that you may have not been aware of. So I'm going to go ahead and start our poll for today. But once again, I really appreciate you attending our session today, and hope you get to join us next time.